Hi, we're Team EqualModel and we're a senior design group at the University of Pennsylvania wanting to create a post-processing algorithm for bias reduction in big data analytics. Here is an overview of what we will be going through today. First, we will go over the motivation for our project and then the methodology of our topic, which is moment multi-calibration. Then we will go through where we are currently, main takeaways, and finally our future steps. So what exactly is the problem that we're trying to tackle? Currently, we're facing a new kind of bias created by machine learning models. This kind of bias arises mainly because of poor quality and lack of data for underrepresented groups. IBM predicts that the number of biased AI systems and algorithms will grow within the next 5 years. This is clearly dangerous as seen by these article titles. AI is explicitly used across many sectors like healthcare and criminal justice, and biased models only enforce existing inequalities. So we aim to tackle these issues by reducing the observed discrimination towards underrepresented populations in ML algorithms, which we will further explain in the next slides.
Let's first ground our discussion in a personalized medicine setting. There are drugs which require a personalized medicine approach, and we can train a statistical model with the patient's observable features to quantify the dosage. Wrong dosages would be dangerous, so you want to be sure what the dosage is, and you want to know what the uncertainty of the estimation is. So this could be a potential dialogue between a doctor and a patient. The doctor would say, given features X, your dosage for the drug is f of X. The patient would say, how sure are you? And the doctor would say, the variance conditional on my estimate is g of X. However, we run into a problem. This dosage and variance is averaged over the whole entire population. But what if the patient does not look like the entire population? This is how the next conversation would go. The patient would say, but I'm part of a demographic representing less than 5% of the population. The doctor's response would be, for Asian Americans under the age of 50, the confidence interval is between A to B. Then he also mentions, for women with a family history of diabetes, the confidence interval is C to D. You might hope that the data encapsulates everything you need to know for your estimate, but randomness occurs over the unrealized or unmeasured randomness in the world. So what is our true confidence interval?
From here, we're able to define both our problems and our goals. It's clear to see from this example that the implicit bias against underrepresented populations exists in many of the systems we rely on today. There are also many ethical standards, both in fairness and privacy, that are often breached. So our goal is to focus on this standard of fairness and to create a tool that will supplement any existing algorithm, making it more fair and reducing this implicit bias.
Our solution for the problem comes from an idea called multi-calibration. Usually, from the machine learning model, people look at the overall performance of the model, such as accuracy. However, for example, a 90% of accuracy for a total population does not guarantee 90% accuracy for a subpopulation, especially when the model is really biased. Therefore, by using multi-calibration, we want to offer the same assurance across all possible subgroups.
Our project components mainly consisted of coding with Python through shared Google Colab files. We based the majority of our work on existing research done by our advisors, Chris Jung and Professor Aaron Roth at Penn, who have published the underlying algorithm for moment multi-calibration. Initially, since our project is a post-processing algorithm that can be applied in different spaces, we had aimed to use it for correcting predictive algorithms in criminal justice. However, based on our research, we learned about the highly controversial debate on whether algorithms should be even applied at all to predict whether someone should be incarcerated. Based on this, we decided to narrow our future stakeholder scope to other more applicable social fields such as housing support or education, which is something we plan on exploring in the future.
At this moment, we'd actually like to take a step to demonstrate how harmful it is to be using machine learning, particularly black box machine learning, in criminal justice. Consider even well-defined data that draws on socioeconomic, law enforcement, and crime data with the goal of predicting the percentage at which violent crimes are committed within a community. If we look at the graph on the right, we've trained a model to predict this number across the entire data set and then examined its accuracy in subsets of that. And you'll notice that with large subgroups, we have a degree of consistency that is not present in these underrepresented populations. This high variance makes it hard to tune to these underrepresented populations and improve the accuracy of the predictor. By not calibrating to them or training to them, it only causes more harm.
Here is an overview of our algorithm. It has two parts, an auditor and a fixer. So for the auditor, we'll select subgroup to audit. It will either choose it from the predefined subgroup list based on parameters such as gender, race, economic status, etc. Or alternatively, it can use the learning oracle algorithm to pick subgroup whose prediction is especially bad. And then it will look at the subgroup and decide whether the subgroup prediction is calibrated. It will pass the result to the fixer. The fixer will adjust accordingly for the prediction of the chosen subgroup and return the updated result to the auditor. This process will repeat until the entire dataset is calibrated.
As Margaret mentioned, the first step in the process is to find data points with potential implicit bias. These are the data points that we need to pass into our fixer. We use the auditor to search for these data points and eventually be able to predict which data points in new datasets could have implicit bias. We use a quantity called a residual to search for bias. The residuals is the difference between a prediction of a given data point and the true label. The graph shown here shows that points that have high residuals will be more likely to be classified in the bucket of potential implicit bias, which is highlighted in orange.
In order to test the fixer, we use a Cypher10 dataset. It has 60,000 training images and 10,000 test images classified in 10 different classes. We trained a convolution neural network as our initial predictor, and in this case, we predefined the subgroups. We then ran the fixer using the validation data, and the post-processing converged after 47 iterations in this case. On the left, you can see the iterations of the algorithm for a particular subgroup. The blue line shows the predicted mean. Initially, the predicted mean is very high and far away from the true mean, which is the black line. But the algorithm is able to eventually fix the mean, and after convergence, the predicted mean is closer to the true mean. On the right, we also show the performance of the predictor on the test data for the same subgroup. The initial predictor overestimates the mean for that subgroup, but after applying the modifications of the fixer, the predicted mean is closer to the true mean. So we were able to see convergence for both the validation and test data. Next, let's briefly summarize what we have done so far. First, we implemented mean multi-calibration based on the paper by our advisors. We have tested the auditor and fixer on 2 different datasets, and through our results, we can conclude that both components work and we're able to fix the predictions.
Now our project is nowhere near finished. We first want to test our algorithm on a variety of datasets for quality assurance. We then need to use our algorithm for its intended applications, such as housing and medication. Ultimately, we want to publish our code on a publicly accessible site, like IBM AI Fairness 360 package, so that machine learning developers can utilize multi-calibration all over the world. We hope this would help in the fight against biased machine learning. If you have any questions, please contact us at our team email. Thank you so much for listening.